And to summarize it, it's a hand-up philosophy instead of a handout. So the story she tells is about a guy that's fallen. He's on the ground.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Community Connections with Love Inc. Today I'm with Alan Jervey, whose title is...
I am the director of Transformational Ministries.
Okay. Very
Yes.
good.
I'm one of those anomalies. I'm volunteering, but I'm on staff.
Yep, volunteer staff.
Volunteer staff member.
Very nice.
Yes.
Very nice. So, you say Transformational Ministries. What exactly does that entail?
So every Love Inc. affiliate, one of the first things they do is open the clearinghouse, and that is the way of reaching out to neighbors through physical means or material means. And Transformational Ministries is kind of that next step. So for us, it's the classes. The Loving Your Neighbor program is one of those where we try to reach the neighbors through that, but also Redemptive Compassion, where we're reaching out to potential volunteers or volunteers who want to.
What exactly is Redemptive Compassion?
So Redemptive Compassion is a book that was written by a director of a Love Inc. affiliate out in Idaho. And it has kind of become the basis of everything we do. And to summarize it, it's a hand-up philosophy instead of a handout. So the story she tells is about a guy that's fallen. He's on the ground, something that I can relate to. He's on the ground and he can't get up, right? So a handout is like, oh, poor guy, here's some food.
Yeah.
Here's a blanket,
yeah.
Right? I mean, it's
That's all you
helping
need.
the guy.
That's all you need. Stand up. You're good.
Versus this Transformational Ministries is what we call the hand up.
Sure.
Like, I'm actually going to help you get up. And that requires you trusting me and grabbing on and applying that energy yourself. And it also requires the energy of me.
Right. So it's not like we're taking them, lifting them up and being like, all right, you're good. We're saying we're reaching out a hand. They grab our hand, we lift them.
That's
like
right. That's right.
Okay, so that's the difference between hand up versus hand out. And I guess that's a theme that we want everyone to kind of get into their minds when they think of Love Inc. as hand up versus hand out.
Right.
So what are some ways that you see the LYN program or the just transformational branch of Love Inc. being that hand up?
So the thing is, my position is called the Director of Transformational Ministries, Transform. That's really the key to everything is we want lives to transform. That includes my life and it includes the lives of neighbors and volunteers as well. We want everyone to transform. And so the process of transformation as we look at it is that process of looking at me, solving my needs, to the process of looking at Jesus and living for him. And that transformation is a process that it can be in everybody, no matter where you are in this life's journey. And so as we plan for things like loving your neighbor, redemptive compassion, and everything else we do, really, that's the idea is to get from that point where you are leaning on yourself to leaning on Jesus.
Sure.
That transformation.
Sure. Very good. Very good. So share a little bit about your heart, maybe even your background too, about what led you to Love Inc. in the first place. I know you have a unique story of a different Love Inc. But what originally, share that story and then what kind of led you to...
Yeah, I have a very unique story, I guess, in that my career goals were to, everything was pointing towards education. That's what I wanted to do, is be in education. And I spent 15 years as a teacher, as an administrator, and through the last since 2010. So for these last 10 years, I've had medical issues. And the last 3+ now, I've been retired. medically retired. And so I've been with Love Inc. for a little more than 3 years. And some of that happened by accident. So here I am, like, I've just kind of surrendered my career goals. I don't know what I'm doing with myself, but God knew what he was doing with me, so I appreciate that. And through this time, I'm feeling this need to go to Savannah, Georgia. I don't know why. I don't have any family there. I didn't know anybody there. It's like, but Savannah, Georgia was on my mind. So I go to my pastor and say, I don't know, Savannah, Georgia, I think I should move there. And he said, well, what are you going to do there? I said, well, I don't really know, but I kind of like the idea of people who have donating and people who don't have receiving. He said, you really need to check out Love Inc. Well, I've been in the area now since 2003. I've heard about Love Inc. I've seen the signs, but I didn't really know. I didn't take the time to understand the whole ministry. To me, it was, just this donation place. It was equivalent to other places where you'd say, hey, I've got an extra whatever, and I'm going to drop it off there. Yeah. And so I spent really that first year out of retirement just, I guess, being a utility infielder, to use a baseball term. You throw me anywhere.
The funny thing is, Bill, in the last episode, Bill used about 3 different baseball references, so this worked. This is great.
Good. And since we're near a baseball field.
That's right over there. We're in Gypsy Hill Park.
So, yeah. But that first year, I think I did a little bit of everything. Now, of course, I have physical limitations when it comes to moving furniture and so forth, but I was able to be present, at least, for part of that process of deliveries and so forth, and just kind of see how all of that stuff worked. And be part of the clearinghouse and taking the phone calls and making the phone calls and going out to people's homes. And that was great. Yeah. That was, to me, that was transformational for me. Sure. And then also teaching classes. And that was just one of those things that was kind of like, hey, you can do this. Can you do this? Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I'm here for. So I got a little taste of I would say everything in that first year. And then I uprooted my family. We moved to Savannah for a year. Yep. And the purpose there was to educate people about Love Inc.
So you had this calling, very clear calling, Savannah, Georgia, but you didn't, the direction of it was kind of like, okay, I know I'm supposed to go, but what am I supposed to do with that kind of direction? And then Love Inc. happened.
Yeah, and it was a great fit. And I would, Savannah has many, many things to offer, but no Love Inc. And so, like, there are a lot of ministries there for the homeless population. There are a lot of ministries for the hungry. There are a lot of, you name it. There are ministries there, but there's no Love Inc. So I would say that Love Inc. does a really nice job, especially for people who are really wanting to get out of that rut. Generational poverty, I think, is really the term for it. But people who are interested in getting out of that, there's nothing that existed in Savannah. So when I went down there, that was another moment of transformation for me because, I was able to really feel the heart of a lot of pastors and people down there. And the heart is there. And what I realized after about a year of being down there is people aren't really interested in hearing from me. They want to hear from people who are natives of Savannah. Sure. And, I felt like the job was done. It was time to go home. So in that year, I kind of spread the knowledge of Love Inc. And then now it's with the people of Savannah to move on that. And certainly COVID-19 has brought things to a slow move down there, but the heart still remains.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I like that. And then we moved back here last summer, and about the same time that I moved back, in a, I guess, unrelated thing, they were talking at Love Inc. about developing this new position of director of Transformational Ministries.
Sure.
And it's kind of what I did. It's scheduling. It's looking at curriculum. It's developing classes and teachers and so forth. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
So I'm still in those beginning stages, and certainly going digital and all of this stuff has changed the way that my position looks. So it's still growing, ebbing and flowing, but we're getting there.
Yeah. It's like the motto of 2020, we're getting there.
Yes, 2021 is coming.
Yes, it is coming, and it will be glorious. We all know it will be, hopefully. Oh my goodness.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, if Jesus decides to come first, that's okay with me too.
Okay as well.
That's fine. That's good. Yes.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that story.
Sure. Yeah.
And I know that brought you that seed was planted, brought you back here. From there, it's growing in Savannah, and hopefully we'll see fruit of that at some point in their own affiliate of Love Inc., whatever that might look like in the future. But so, what do you see when it comes to the future of Transformational Ministries? I know I talked to Katie a couple weeks ago about LYN and what that kind of looks like, but when it comes to the overarching, and you don't need a hard and fast answer, but the overarching vision of Transformational Ministries, what do you want to see come out of that? What do you want to see?
It's a great question. So I think the simple, quick answer is, if one person's life is transformed, then Transformational Ministries has done their job, right? Yeah. I mean, it's like an immediate success rate.
Right.
It's one person. But bigger than that, as we're planning for the future, it's growing the LYN program. So it's at multiple campuses, and we're hoping to expand in January.
Explain campuses. What does that mean?
So right now, all of the classes are held in Fishersville at Tinkling Spring Presbyterian Church. Okay. And beginning in January, we hope to move to Waynesboro and expand at least the opportunity for our neighbors to be able to have those two different places instead of one to choose from.
Because it's hard, it can be difficult to get to one place versus another.
Right.
I mean, even though we do have transportation, it's just location does make a big difference with, availability and that kind of thing. Yeah. Well, that's really cool. So multi-site, kind of the vision, so that we can provide more of that hand up to the community.
Right. And so the growth of LYN, certainly more classes that could be offered. I mean, that's something that constantly we're thinking about, what courses would be beneficial. Sure. On the other end of things, the redemptive compassion. So far, that has been very successful in that it's moved throughout the county. Different churches, where it's been offered. So Love Inc. provides the teacher and the curriculum and so forth, but the churches provide the location. So that's gone everywhere from Weir's Cave down to, Greenville and, east to west. It really depends on churches, coordinating with our schedules and making that happen. And so that's been good, because volunteers from all around Augusta County can find a location that works well for them. And so we hope to continue that process of offering that. And, that was one of those things where we were in the middle of 3 different redemptive compassion courses when all of this stuff happened, So there were probably, 45 people that were just, midway through a course that just ended. So we'll want to reconnect with those people and start that process back up again. But there's a lot that comes with transformational ministries that is like right now, for example, beginning tonight, actually, we're doing a Bible study. And so there are different ministers and pastors, ministry leaders from the area that are going to provide a devotion on Tuesday nights for our loving your neighbor volunteers, neighbors, and so forth. And then that kind of falls into that job title as well as getting that stuff done.
Sure.
Vouchers, which is really a partnership, I would say, with local businesses. That's part of that process. And going to the local vendors that say, hey, we're interested in donating whatever our product is. And really like developing a relationship with that business, or it's more than just that handout.
Sure.
It's all about relationships.
Yeah. That's kind of, I guess we can end on that, unless you have anything else to share. It's all about relationships.
All about relationships.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here,
Sure.
taking a few minutes. I know this is going to be as helpful for me, but also helpful
Absolutely.
to a few people.
And it's such a nice day
Yes.
that we can sit here and talk for hours.
That's
if we
right.
want to.
Right. Just don't tell Bill and Debbie, and we can, it's work. All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening to another episode of Community Connections with Love Inc. If you all want to learn more about Love Inc., go to www.loveincswa.org. And and we'll see you all next week.